Well, special welcome back. You're watching Prime Morning here. My name is Joseph Bao, and it's the discussion segment. We're going to follow up on some of the issues you saw in the news and also heard from Kweku Asante and Lois very earlier. Well, in studio with me today is Professor Ayamga. He is Deputy CEO of the EPA, and Mr. Jantua. He's been out of our studio for a while, but finally we do have him back. And it's all smiles. Let me just welcome them, and then we'll get into the newspapers and touch briefly also on the presentation that my colleague Kweku Asante made on the what he described as xenophobia, but some of the traders say it's the law, and they want all foreigners to leave the retail business as the law prescribes. Well, the manner in which some of them are engaging in it appears to be quite unwholesome. They're dragging people out of their shops and locking them up. I think it's quite worrying, and it's almost become an annual incident. Almost every year we hear that retailers, particularly at Abosokai, are forcing some of these foreign retailers out of their shops, and it always creates some chaos. So we'll try and touch on that briefly. But let me just welcome Mr. Jantua. Mr. Jantua, good to have you. Good morning.
Good to be back. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very good. How are you two?
I'm very well.
That's wonderful.
Can't complain.
That's wonderful.
So far as you're breathing, you're fine.
Great, wonderful. And Prof, good morning to you. Good to have you back.
Good morning. Nice to be here. Very excited to see Senior here exuding in all freshness.
Yeah. So it looks so energetic, full of energy.
Change is good. Change is good.
That's it. That's it.
Change is good.
Is indeed good. Change is indeed good. And so we're going to get into the newspapers, and just before we even get into some of them, and all of you have some papers, we'll get into it. We get into it. I just wanted to pick your thoughts on that very issue, and I'm sure, Mr. Janso, you've seen that in the news. It's almost become an annual incident where you have Ghanaian retailers forcing the foreigners within that space out, and sometimes the manner in which they do it is what has raised concern. But their major concern is that the law is not being enforced, because the law is clear that retail business should be exclusive to Ghanaians.
Good morning to our viewers. Good morning, Prof. Good morning to yourself. Enforcement of the law has failed. And the moment enforcement of the law fails, people take the law into their own hands. Ghanaians are not known for xenophobia, but they've been pushed to the wall. Look, a lot of these things come from the economy. What's the cost of production in Ghana? High. These foreigners who come in, our brothers and sisters, the goods they bring in are cheaper than what we manufacture here. So when the Ghanaian goes to the market, he would go for the cheaper one, then go for the Ghanaian one. So we've got to look at the factors of production. And you see, the over-profitalization of what we want to do. The Ghanaian wants super profits.
Yeah.
Super profits. Instead of little drops of water make a mighty ocean, we want it boom. It doesn't work that way. Because really, they can work with their Nigerian counterparts.
Yeah.
They can. So you guys, you bring in a Mazda engine. How much do you get it for? You get it for this. How can we work together so that we can align prices? Simple. Because you see, it makes nonsense of what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said at independence.
Yeah.
It makes nonsense of it. We cannot begin to do this to our own. Look, the difference between Africa and the rest of the world is that the European put boundaries, in our countries.
Where they shouldn't be.
Yes, Africa doesn't have boundaries. We are all family. Go to Côte d'Ivoire. Are there no Ghanaians in Côte d'Ivoire?
Yeah.
And some Ivorians, Ashantis.
Yeah.
Aren't they? The Ga people, where did they emanate from? Isn't it Nigeria? Benin, Volta. So we are interlinked. So there are certain things that we should try as much as possible to understand. But you see, one of the major factors is the fact that money has become king. So all our morality and those things that can allow us to sit and talk has gone out of the window. The economy is hard, yes, but the economy shouldn't be so hard for us to want to kill each other. No, because what happens? Those who want to see it sit and watch and laugh at us. Look, Africa, so far as I'm concerned, is the richest continent. If we can find titanium in Ghana, titanium that does what? That now controls a lot of the world. Why are we crying?
Yeah.
We've got to be able to enforce the law. And you see, the regulators have failed the retailers. If the law was enforced, we won't be here. Hasn't this happened before?
It has, many times.
Hasn't it happened before?
Many.
The things we are going around talking about, haven't we talked about it in Yofi Grant's time? Haven't we?
We did.
So why? Why are we chasing our tails? So that means at that time, we weren't able to solve the problem. And the problem is still there. So, Nigeria is a much bigger market than Ghana. Ghanaians who are in Nigeria are making more money than Ghanaians here in terms of the retail space. If Nigerians decide to do that, what will happen? When Nigerians decided to bring Ghanaians back in the 60s, what happened? So some of these things, I expect government to take the bull by the horns and make sure that it stops. Which minister is responsible for retail? Minister of Trade.
Yeah, Minister of Trade.
Put your foot in there now. Don't need for GIPC. Put your foot in there now, and stop it. Calm the waters.
Yeah.
Because it's absurd. The only time Ghana and Nigeria should have a problem, two things.
Yeah.
Jollof rice and football. These are the only two things. The rest we should be working together.
We should be working.
You see, unfortunately, and it's very sad, Nigeria should have been the biggest economic powerhouse in Africa. They have more oil and gas than America.
Yeah.
Why are they where they are? So there are so many things as Africans, and the Pan-African movement was one that brought us together. We should still maintain it. The Europeans and the Americans and the foreigners have been able to break us in that Pan-African thing. We should try and bring it together. And I thought AFTA was a good way of putting us together. So we should try as much as possible to ease this, come to some agreement. And let's look at the laws.
Yeah.
AFTA and our laws, ECOWAS and our laws. Let's look at it and see how best we can work together as Africans.
Prof, any quick thoughts on this one? Then we can see some of the other stories from there.
I've had my, and then good morning again to senior lawyer Kwame Jantua and to our viewers. I've had my bite on this over the weekend, and my position is clear. It is not that easy for a foreigner to come get a shop here, unless initially there is some Ghanaian collusion.
Yeah.
So when they came in, the shops they are getting and the goods they are getting, the very traders that fight them now were the ones that provided the cover.
Some of the Nigerians say the shops belong to their wives,
so
Ghanaian
much
wives.
so if they are married to Ghanaians, they have Ghanaian children, they are parents of Ghanaians. You see that it's not easy to enforce the law, because at a certain point, some rights come in there. And I'm saying that anytime you wanted to enforce these laws, these same traders provided cover for them, because at that point in time, they were benefiting from the relationship. What is currently going on is price wars, as a lawyer indicated, that we want to make a very huge profit for one business cycle, whilst the wholesalers are interested in the quick turnovers. So when they enter the market and they realize that, okay, I brought my goods in, I bought them, I used to buy them at maybe $15, $16, $17.
Yeah.
Now we are having the dollars bordering between 10 and 13. I want to probably recalibrate my expectations and be able to sell so that I can have my business going. The Ghanaian wants to go all the way up and hold on as long as possible. And you see, the article 865, I think so, 27.1, yes, gives some enterprises to Ghanaians, but it doesn't say we should leave Ghanaians to a certain group of people to exploit. And that even though I'm in government and it is my duty to support any move to protect a business space for Ghanaians, I think that we must also be interested in the broader interests of the country, that we cannot just give Ghanaians wholesale to you to exploit them. When the economic forces are dictating a reduction in price, you are holding. You see, over the years, we've seen these things playing out, and it almost borders on economic sabotage. You see a situation where people call on relatives not to remit in order to put pressure on government. You see people calling on even their supporters not to reduce prices because they don't want prices to go in a certain direction. And so you have these people, instead of doing economics, engage in a political and economic sabotage. And a businessman should be a businessman like many of these people we call foreigners, because they want to sell. And when Ghanaians go to Abosokan, do they say, I'm looking for the shop of a Nigerian to buy?
No, they're looking for that.
They are looking for where they can buy the goods. So if you cannot reduce your price, then it means that you have to reorganize your business. We can't resort to using the law to victimize people who are more economically agile as far as business is concerned. And I want to say it here and there that much as I think that we need to enforce the laws, we need to help the business community grow. We also need to orient ourselves away from the fact that this is our exclusive right and these are Ghanaians. Give us our right to exploit them. I don't think that we want to secure that right to exploit Ghanaians for our businesses. If they are innovative, if they are investing, if they are looking at business, the economic environment, and reforming their expectations, they won't even bother. They can outcompete the Nigerians in the retail market if they are quick enough. But they are not doing it. It's not even Nigerians. There are a whole host of citizens. You see, everywhere you go, you find Ghanaians in business space. I remember when I got to Gabon, the first person I met was a Ghanaian. I know, I was shocked. When I just got there, and typical of our hospitality, came, greeted, talked, and then he's telling us the business opportunity there. If we start doing these things, you'll be shocked. The people that we are going to eventually impact if these things spirals out of control and their retaliations. Because you see, when information is crossing borders, they are just like, okay, they are attacking Ghanaians, Nigerians, they are attacking maybe Ivorians or other nationals in this country, and the retaliation comes on. So I believe the traders in Aboso can say they are enforcing the Citizens Arrest Act. They want to enforce it, but I think that is also abused to a certain degree. They should let the relevant agencies, the GIPC and the Ghana Immigration Authority, the Ministry of Trade, together with even national security and the rest to go. Because sometimes when you see somebody say, okay, he's a Nigerian, maybe he's been here 20, 30 years. Along the line, he's a Ghanaian. As you said, some of them are spouses of Ghanaians. And you may get there, and it's not the right way to go and drag somebody out of his shop and lock it. Ghanaians are not known for lawlessness. And let's not try to use this kind of draconian and, let me say, extra extreme methods to victimize.
But Ms. God, let me ask you. So the first time, not the first time, but the last time it happened, what happened?
Well,
did we do anything about it? Well,
we had the, what do you call the Minister of Trade at the time. I remember particularly recall when Alan Chamanti was the Minister of Trade and it came up. He said, well, they were going to look into it, they were going to engage and try and resolve it, and that's it. It went to sleep.
They themselves make peace.
After Chairman, Katie Hammond came in, and not much happened.
I'm saying they make peace. When this thing that's going on, they will easily solve it among themselves, and when you go in, they say, oh, there's nothing, they are okay, they are together now. So it's when they want...
It's when, I think, like Prof said, when they suspect that, you know, maybe the Nigerians are selling at a different price and they're not getting enough.
So we should look at our prices.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
Look at our cost of production.
That's the bottom line. Well, let's see. I have got the Insight newspaper here, and it's got on the front page suicide, and it says how Ghana recorded 40% rise in 2024 amid economic hardship. That's how Ghana recorded a 40% rise in suicide amid economic hardship, and also has MP demands probe and termination of abandoned rural electrification project. And anyone demanding money for SHS placement is a fraudster. That's according to Clement Apart. And also some stories on police CID chase petroleum Bruka over alleged multi-million CD fraud. And it also got a story on utility tariffs, and it says utility companies must justify how revenues from tariff adjustments improve service delivery. That's according to Anyaa Sowutuom. That's on the front page of the Insights. And also got the overseer. It says, we can trace you. President Mahama calls for regulation of social media amid rising threats and incitement, he says. And also over 400 MPP delegates in Agona West declare support for Brian A. Champon there. And INEC recognizes David Mark-led ADC, and 2 billion Ghana cedis set to improve Ghana's health infrastructure by 2028. And Ruth Della Sedo takes office as executive director of NSA. That's the overseer, and you can see those stories there. We've got the Delhi Democrat here also, where government demolishes illegal Trasako war, Islamic school children happy. And Gold Board reports $6 billion small-scale exports, and stakeholder warn investors over Adamu's mine sale, and PRC engaged media on tariff review. And Mr. Janswa, I think you've got the Ghanaian Times, right?
Yes, I've got the Ghanaian Times. Headline here is biodiversity destruction. Ghana loses 520 million annually, UNDP. I'll go to that story, but let me read the other headlines here. Fire razes 8 houses, warehouse at Latobio Koshi. And another one says, struggling SOEs need government attention, ICU. And then the economy expands 6.3% in quarter 2, 2025. Let me go back to the headline, Ghana loses 520 million annually. And when you go to page 12 of the paper, it says, Ghana loses more than 520 million annually through the destruction of the ecosystem and biodiversity. Environmental policy specialist at the United Nations Development Programme, Mrs. Pamela Kwe, has revealed. But the most interesting bit about it is that, speaking at the UNDP Biodiversity Workshop organized by UNDP in Accra yesterday, Ms. Kwe said biodiversity was not just about protecting forests, rivers, and wildlife.
Be guarded in terms of how we depict the narrative moving forward, because the media has a role in all of this. So I'm supporting Prof on his point about how military stories are carried out in the country. It's very important.
Yeah, interesting. Well, we're going to stay on the Galamsey story because, as I mentioned, the president addressed it in his engagement with the media yesterday. My colleague Kojo Jansen asked him a question about it, and he responded to it and offered a bit of more information on the activities of Global, etc. So let's first of all hear Kojo Jansen's question, and let's hear the president's response to it.
Okay.
You've already talked about how important it is to safeguard the water bodies and the forest reserves. But over the past 9 months since you became president, the turbidity levels in the water bodies have worsened, according to the Water Resources Commission. Ghana Water Company supports this by saying that they've had to shut down several treatment plants because the water sources are too polluted for them to process. Besides that, we know that there have been increased incursions into forest reserves for Galamsey. We've also heard from your transport minister that we are importing more excavators than ever before, over 200 a day. My question about this is about its effect on the economy. Recently, the finance minister has been touting the work of the Gold Board led by Sami Jimfi for being an anchor to the economy, especially when it comes to stabilizing the city. My question is, does your government know, is your government able to tell the difference between gold from Galamsey and gold from regular concessions when the Gold Board is buying gold from local producers? And could it be, because so much of it comes from Galamsey, could that be the reason why we are seeing some reluctance recently in the fight against Galamsey?
I never expected, or I never deluded myself that the fight against illegal gold mining or galamsey was going to be an event. I mean, definitely, there's no magic wand. The decay has eaten so much over the last 8 years that it's going to take a lot of work to be able to overcome it. And I didn't expect that in 18 months we'll declare victory in the fight. As the livelihoods of about 4 million Ghanaians is on small-scale mining. And so it's going to be a process. It's not going to be an event. But we will not give up. We have a determination to get on top of it. The Gold Board was introduced as part of reforms. And if the Gold Board was not introduced, those who were taking the profits from the small-scale mining sector were the foreign traders who were taking that money away. In 6 months, we have exported over $6 billion. About $4 billion of that money was going to go into the private or foreign traders. And so the first thing is you shut the stable door so that the horse doesn't escape, which is what we've done. So if it's from illegal sources, it's from legal sources. At least it's our land that is being destroyed. So let us get the benefit of it instead of foreign traders. So that's the first thing. But if you go and read the Gold Board law, it has a requirement for tracking and tracing. And as I speak, the Gold Board is working with an organization to put on a track and trace system.
So that was the president, and in some other questions that were asked to him about declaring state of emergency, he made the point that declaring state of emergency will be the last resort, and it is not something he's completely written off yet, but it's not something that he will activate at this point. It will be the last resort. So that and a few other comments he had to make about galamsey. So, but let's just, develop that very conversation. Let me bring you in, Doc. On this one. You heard the president. He said he didn't for once think that he was going to end illegal mining within 8 months, as, some people have put the pressure on him to do so. And also he makes the point about proceeds from illegal mining, because that was the concern that, proceeds from illegal mining is going to the Gold Board. He says, well, whether it's from legal or illegal mining, bottom line is from the land of Ghana, but the plan is to introduce a tracing so that we can tell which gold is coming from legal miners or which one is coming from illegal miners. But bottom line, he reaffirms his commitment to fight against illegal mining. What's your take on this one?
So before I proceed, let me make one key thing. Today marks 24 years since 9/11 happened. I know it's very far from our shores, but I think I want to reiterate that it changed the airline industry, and it is important that we do not forget August 6 in Ghana with regards to the 8 lives that we lost, which are also still tied to galamsey. So I just want to reiterate the need to modernize our aviation in terms of our security, weather predictability, and all of these things related to safety when it comes to airline industry. Now, with that said, let me also say that in local parlance, when you start working, your language changes, your reality changes. And I think that His Excellency is saying some very important things. Admittedly, that there are many people involved in galamsey. And I think that the key thing is that we need to go beyond politicizing galamsey. I think it's our drag menace. And let me chip this in. The gold bond money should fund Ghana Water Corporation. And I hope that many citizens will support me on this one. The huge amount of supposed profits, we the ordinary citizens should not be bearing this additional quantum of cost that Ghana Water Corporation is talking about. I think that the Samije fees should be asked to pay for our water that we drink.
Why is that so?
And I don't mean Sami Jemfi as a person, but I mean that all the mining sector, through either the EPA or through an instrument or a bill through Parliament, should be responsible for Ghana Water Corporation, because over the past decade, and I'll not mince my words, over the past decade, our water bodies have not been destroyed by any other activity more so than mining. And he who the cup fits, let him wear it. So I want to throw this challenge to Cabinet. They have to find a way. We Ghanaians are not going to be paying for any extra amount of money for our water. It should be affordable. It should be clean. And that is our demand on the presidency. This has nothing to do with me being, with MPP or not. I'm talking as a Ghanaian making a demand, and also redirecting Ghana Water Corporation that they ought to know where to burden, the country, not the ordinary Ghanaian who is looking for affordable, clean water to drink. The mining corporations, be it small scale, be it illegal, be it legal, should be made to pay for the water we drink in this country.
But wouldn't that encourage their activities, which is, leading to the tariff increment?
No, this is not encouraging an activity.
Yeah, because if you're asking them to pay, then if you are paying for it, then we might as well continue to do it as long as we get to pay for it.
Fines are made to discourage. And in this case, be it a fine or whatever, what I'm saying is that the ordinary Ghanaian should not be burdened with Ghana Water Corporation issues. Since we know that over the past 8 months, I am not saying, the Gold Bond is saying this, that they've made a lot of money from mining. Whether the gold comes from, sources they don't know or sources they know. What is very clear to all of us as Ghanaians today, based on the president's submission, is that some huge amount of revenues are being made. And from an economic standpoint, those damaging our water is the mining sector. So it is a no-brainer that if the activity of mining, which is helping our country in terms of our forex exchange or all the other benefits of mining, and then there's an externality. If there's an oil spill at the Gulf, the mining company or the oil company is made responsible for cleaning and made to pay in excess of what it takes to clean. So, it's unfortunate that I always keep saying this, that our judiciary system is not robust to handle environmental related matters. This is a pure case of Ghana Water Corporation misappropriating or applying the burden of their damages to ordinary citizens. And I think that many of us have to sit on this issue and redirect the burden of the damage to our water bodies to the mining conglomerate or the mining kebab or any revenue being made from mining.
All right, let me bring Mr. Jantua in on this one. And Mr. Jantua, one of the things we pick from that presentation by the president or response by the president is that the president seemed to confirm that the proceeds that the gold that the Gold Board is getting, at this point, the Gold Board is unable to tell which gold is from legal miners and illegal miners, but we get the indication that the Gold Board is also receiving gold from illegal miners. And if we have not instituted a mechanism, which they say is in the pipeline, they're working on it, if we have not instituted a mechanism to differentiate, and we continue to receive their gold and export it and take credit for the revenue we get from it, Are we not in some way, indirectly, encouraging illegal mining if we continue to take in their gold?
Indirectly?
Yeah.
Indirectly? Please. How can we say indirectly? We are turning an illegality into legality, as far as I can see. The fact that it's bringing money in doesn't mean it is right. It is wrong. It's an illegality. And Comrade President, this one, I beg to differ with you. Beg to differ with you. It's an illegality. No matter how much money it's bringing in, it's illegal. Look at the headline. Ghana loses 520 million annually. Biodiversity. It's destroying the country. And for me, what I would have thought we would have done, and the president would have said, is that for this duration of time, A to B, we are putting a halt on small-scale mining and galamsey, halt, whilst we put things in good order. I keep saying, the entire country is covered in gold. Entire country. And you know, Ghana's future can be based on gold because the gold that we've extracted is just a small percentage of what the country has. Small percentage. And so it goes to show that in future, if we are able to structure it properly, the quantum of money that will come into this country, we won't even be able to imagine.
I mean, 6 billion is what the Gold Board says that Gold Board 6 billion small-scale export.
I said,
that's a lot.
I said, a tip of the iceberg,
the 6 billion.
I said, tip of the iceberg are gold resources that we've exploited. Tip of the iceberg, about 20%. 20%. The quantum of gold Ghana has, alluvial, topsoil, deep mine, plenty. So why can't we say, let's structure this thing properly? And I've said President Mahama should be ruthless where this is concerned. What I mean by ruthless, put it, stop it for a while. Yes, he said nearly 4 million people are involved in small-scale mining. How do we know it's small-scale mining? How do we know it's galamsey? And I can tell you, some of the small-scale miners are doing galamsey. And if 4 million people compared to 33 million people destroying our land, even let's say out of the 4 million people, 1 million people are doing galamsey, the impact of that 1 million on the country is huge.
The president says there is a program that's taking place in Australia where small-scale miners are being taught how to mine well, and he indicated that some small-scale miners in Ghana have been sent to Australia to learn how to mine well so they don't pollute the water bodies.
Okay, good thing, fine thing. Is illegal mining not continuing? It's not continuing.
Yes, it is.
Have we stopped it? Have we been able to stop? So they go and learn. And you think the people who come back will be able to train those who are doing it. What you do is that you put a brake on it, let people go, come and start teaching them before you even open it up again. Look at the quantum of excavators that are coming into this country. Quantum of excavators. Didn't the president say the number of excavators they've had to move from the ports to a place in this Akumono to store them? That is an indictment on all of us. That's an indictment on all of us. And do you know how much an escalator is? Who is buying the escalator? That is what I wanted to hear from the president, to tell us those buying the escalators. And yes, he said what? The construction industry also uses escalators. How many?
We understand, I mean, he was saying that from the authorities, about 200 of them that come into the country every single day.
I even understand that the tracking system that they put on it, that tracking system is taken off and put on another ordinary vehicle, and the vehicle is driven to other countries, making it look as if the excavators have been sent out. We've got to be ruthless with galamsey. If for nothing at all, our water bodies.
You think the government hasn't shown that in the last 8 months?
I don't think the president's statement has helped us. Is it not going on? My question is it not going on?
I mean, he's also concerned
Has Galamsey stopped?
He's also concerned about the unemployment situation and how we can handle these issues so that it doesn't get out of hand. Because, you made that point about people being employed, like you mentioned, 4 million people will employ in that space. And if we don't, like you mentioned, put a break on it, you're just asking about 4 million people to go and sit in the house,
I'm saying,
do nothing within that period.
Structure it properly. Mine is structure it properly. Structure it properly. Look, if small-scale mining is structured properly, I'll go into it. If it's done like agriculture, where you have cooperatives handling it, I will go into it. Because there's money in it. Who doesn't like money? But it has to be done right.
Do you think
that is my argument?
I mean, just based on this, do you foresee, because, I mean, President has got about 3+ years to, at least give us his legacy when it comes to Galamsey. Do you have any hope that things might improve? Because at this point, you don't look too impressed.
It has to happen, whether the president likes it or not. It should be part of his legacy. The same way he was able to end Dumso before he left. That some of us were taken on by the MPP for saying that. The same way he was able to end Dumso, he should be able to end Galamsey before he leaves. He should be. And you see, the Galamsey fight, I don't think is a difficult fight to end. Target the financiers, target the politicians. First point of call. Stop the money coming in, the blood that finances it. Put a break to it. I would have thought the Minister of Minerals and Natural Resources, by now, when he came initially, he said, we would expose those financing it. Have we exposed anybody? In President Akufo-Addo's time, did we jail or arrest any financier? Have we arrested any financier now? That is where the key is. The people at the port who are allowing these excavators to come in, although we've put laws in place, they're allowing it. Should the people at the port, in terms of the customs people, not be questioned? Should they not be questioned? Because we are suffering.
Let me bring Prof in. Prof, I mean, you are with the EPA, and I'm sure you are even monitoring the president's speech in relation to matters on Galamsey. I mean, what's your take on this? Mr. Johnson says he's not impressed. He's not happy about the president's comments.
You see, I have maintained from day one that the fight against Galamsey is not a fight against extractivism. And many, including aligned media houses, are pushing this Galamsey agenda along lines with the intention to cut a major revenue line for government. So even when achievements and significant progress is being made, no one is acknowledging them. I find that discourse troubling. And I have said it here time without number that I, for one, it doesn't matter who is involved in Galamsey. When I come across you, I'll definitely ensure that the full extent of the law catches up with you. So is the president and many of those who are in the Jubilee House giving us all the backing to go out against Galamsey. I don't want us to make it look like we have to stop legal mining in order to stop Galamsey. Let me tell you something. You see, and it's good, Senior is a lawyer here. If we stop mining today, Galamsey will not stop. It is not because we don't have laws to stop Galamsey. It's because it is so pervasive to a point that it's now being socialized into our very existence. You have chiefs defending them, community leadership defending them. And when we had the opportunity to stop Galamsey, we didn't. We granted even more leases. As from where I'm sitting, there are enough leases that have been granted legally before we came in that we can grant. So even if we stop Galamsey today, people who can legally take us on because we have given them the rights, can cripple this economy.
What will it
and it is not legal mining. Prof, that is the problem. The problem is illegal mining. And steps are being taken to solve it. The president said something that all of you glossed over. That we are in the process of actually developing a tracking system to ensure that we can separate dirty gold from the real gold. And he also said something more important that we try to take out of context, which is the fact that our land is being destroyed by illegal mining, and it will be double jeopardy if at the end of the day, foreign entities are allowed to export this gold that has come as a result of the destruction of our land and go. So the president says that we have to stop it from that angle. Can we tighten the exit points so that we can control the movement of gold outside this country, which is what the Gold Board is doing. Eventually, you see, if you are able to trap the exports so that we can control the gold going out, we can definitely control also the pricing in the country. And then we can also then now use it as a mechanism to actually suppress the profits and get at the financiers. It's because the financiers are making way for you can seize all the excavators, they'll bring them back.
Prof, don't we know the financiers?
I'm saying...
don't we know them?
Oh, who will know a financier?
Oh, please.
You just said here that they installed what in them? Trackers, remove the trackers and put inside vehicles and drive them out. That should tell you that it's something that is clandestine, something that is criminal, happens in the dark. If we had that ability, we'll stop all...
But when the excavators come in, we should be able to know who brought the excavator in.
We have seen more excavators this year than it has been done in the last year.
Yes, because we are number 2 in
I'm saying that, no, you need to give the credit that we have seen more excavators this year that has been done over the last 8 years. And we have granted far less licenses, even for legal mining. And I'm saying that we need to stop it somewhere. When we got in and sometimes you saw what was permitted. And I've told people that don't politicize this thing because it has now gotten to a point that communities see it as a right to engage in illegal mining. And stopping legal mining won't stop it because it will still go on.
What would be the cost to our country?
Over the week,
Mr. Jantua mentioned, let me just follow up on this. What would be the cost for us to say, let's take a break on mining so that we can sanitize,
put it right.
I'm saying
what would be the cost? Why would that be so difficult to do?
It will be so difficult because it is not the problem. First, it will cause a major economic problem for the country. One, emanating from the economic mismanagement over the years, that we can't run away, that we have to depend on our resources to grow. That is one. Number two, Galamsey is the cause of the pollution and the destruction. It is not legal mining. So if we stop legal mining, we are not going to stop the problem.
What about small-scale mining? What about focus on small-scale mining? Because that's where the concern has arisen, that some of these small-scale miners are going around encouraging Galamsey activities. And some of them, in some instances, you go someplace, they are small-scale miners, and they pretend to be, they are Galamseyers, pretend to be small-scale miners.
Let me just tell you something.
So why don't you just focus on small-scale mining?
This is a small-scale mine. The issue at Anyaa Sowutuom. It's a small-scale mining, legal going on, and illegal miners are fighting them in the presence of the military. Can you imagine that if this company was not there, what would happen to their concession? Can you imagine it? So that's why I'm saying we shouldn't use the pervasive nature of the problem to drive the agenda first to stop legal mining, and second, to more or less downplay the significant progress that has been made against illegal mining in this country.
But the other concern...
We cannot, and let me repeat, we cannot win this fight by even shutting down all mines in the country. We are just going to create a cover for illegal mining to grow.
It's for a certain duration of time.
Even if it is for 100 years, I'm telling you that if we shut it down even for 100 years and we don't do something to retool, retrain, over the week, the past 3-4 weeks, I sent our Deputy Director of Mine and Dr. Isian to the communities to engage with some of the small-scale miners and even some people doing galamsey to talk about, can we bring them to the table and begin to train them, to give them licenses. I was shocked over the week. He has been invited by these same people, some of them, to come and start that process. What that is going to do is that at the end of the day, if you have a significant number of these people trained and licensed, they will begin to police others doing illegal mining. The reason you are seeing the Mansu issue is that somebody is trained, somebody has license, somebody has the right to exploit, and he is now appearing to fight against illegal mining. That is the way to go. Where it has reached, what you are talking about here today should have happened 8 years ago. And the president said it rightly, that we missed that opportunity where we could have nipped this thing in the bud. No. But you sat here, and some of the big wigs in your establishments were financing and directly engaging in these things.
What about that?
So why haven't you arrested the big wig?
When they arrested one, didn't you see what happened?
What happened?
Senior, you know. Senior, should I say it? Senior,
what about the consent?
Didn't some people go to sit down on the floor and wail? Well, you know, in this country.
Why should that stop?
Why should stop?
It hasn't stopped. I'm only saying that those who are saying arrest, because when you do it, they are the same people that go out to wail. I just talked about how misleading this story is. As if we have sent military in to go and invade a community.
What about the concern about the posturing of some of your party members? For instance, you have your national organizer, Joseph Yamin, accusing the anti-galamsey task force, which has now been recalled of corrupt practices. As we speak now, the police anti-galamsey task force is not operating. They've now been recalled. In fact, there is no single security task force that is undertaking a clampdown on galamsey at this point. All we know is about the blue water guards who are doing relatively doing a good job.
This is the problem.
But just a final one. Then also, we know the lands minister had referred the national organizer and the third vice chairman of the NDC to the Attorney General for some, what do you call it, interrogations to be done for some alleged conduct relating to galamsey. Nothing has been heard about it. What about the concerns that maybe the posturing of government also is accounting for why people believe that you're not doing much in galamsey?
That is the problem here. Don't say nothing has been done about it. For the first time, you saw a sitting government, a sitting Attorney General, refer people of his own party to the Economic and Organized Crime Unit. Of course, they have their way of doing their things, and I'll tell you that if something wrong is discovered, they will face the music regardless of who they are. And you mentioned something about this issue of the task force. And we realized one thing, that task forces should operate from a holistic point of view. First, to stop. Second, to arrest the culprits. And thirdly, to find credible positions within the law to prosecute these people. And sometimes when you go in there, and you go seize excavators, they run and they put them back. If you arrest people and you don't look at the rightful legal framework, you have a problem. And Dickson said something, let me always remember to add, Honorable Adomako said something, that we also have a legal framework that is not entirely helpful. A judiciary system that is not oriented towards environmental protection. And I've called here, and I will continue to call my big brother, Attorney General. I'm not sure he's going to be happy with this, but I'll tell him and the Chief Justice that we need specialized courts for the environment. So that when we get somebody, within 1 week, we can put the fellow away. Because if we see, as we sit here, like Komi, if he gets a client from the galamsey field, he takes us to court. You see the best out of him. He will argue and punch loopholes in the law. The judges who are probably not inclined to maybe some environmental issues will play along the line. The next day, he gets his bail, 48 hours, he's out of the country. So those are the challenges we are facing. You cannot stop this thing without, first of all, looking at the legal framework first, looking at the court system, trying to tighten the loopholes that allow for the export of gold illegally. If we can nip that in the bud, we will significantly be able to control who takes gold out, and by so doing, who brings money to invest in gold. It is not a one-day thing to do.
Now, I mean, Honorable Kwame, Prof makes the point about what your government did in the last 8 years, and he says, well, part of the reason why they've not been able to completely end it is because of how ineffective your approach to the fight against illegal mining was.
I think today I don't want to shift poles. Let me be very political here. The NDC promised the world that what we're doing was not good, and that when they come, they will solve it. So, admittedly, they told the whole world that we were doing something wrong. And the verdict after what they said was Ghanaians gave them power. Now, to come to me 9 months down the line and to reiterate to me, Dr. Kissi, that as because of our past woes, that's why we're still here, then I would say that we are shifting poles. I think that the 8 years in the wilderness should have been a good time for the NDC to bring up whatever superior ideologies or processes that they had to arrest this problem. It begs the question that what was the alternative solution they really truly had? And if we should play all the things they said 10 months ago, and we play what they are saying today, I think they've scandalized Ghanaians. They've been untruthful to us. Just like the LGBTQ that is missing in action, which now has turned into an Airtel telecell issue. It's unfair to us Ghanaians.
I mean, the president says...
And I think...
the president said he acknowledges the fact that the fight against illegal mining cannot be achieved in 8 months or even 1 year. He says it's going to take a long time. I mean, he acknowledges that, and maybe...
But we were saying that. So I was thinking that something new will come out of Judea, okay? And what I'm hearing now is the same rhetoric that the MPP was telling Ghanaians that, listen, this is like our drug war. It's multifactorial. It cuts through the fabric of our society in so many ways that the actors are, one, sophisticated, and we need sophisticated and political power. And I will always side with Prof on one thing. The bad apples are not necessarily the reason why the entire industry should go down. I am rather for heavily quadrupling the investment so that we can have responsible mining. I think that in terms of competitive advantage, what our country has is minerals. And let's admit that even Donald Trump believes in minerals. With all the sophistication in America, they believe that minerals are very important. That means we're sitting on very important things that God has bestowed upon us. My thing is that the narrative ought to change. We need to invest heavily in the knowledge of extraction, heavily in the equipment for extraction. And by so doing, we can do it in a very responsible way and tackle the issue, looking at it more in terms of and heavily investing into it. So I mean, these are the things I want to hear from the presidency, how we turn the boys and girls who are doing illegal activity into the next engineers. How do we do that? That is the big question. How do we make anybody currently doing it rather interested in being trained on how to do it right, or doing the cooperative system where all those who are paid on a daily basis to damage the environment are rather taught and equipped to do it at an industrial level and get paid.
Interesting.
And let me always remind ourselves that, listen, 8 very powerful lives have been lost. Many more, and yesterday or 2 days ago, we've lost an assemblyman and others related to the same thing. So I really think that it can be business as usual. We talk too much as a country. We need to be maybe mute and then take things by the horn and be serious for once. And I think that Mr. President is a very fantastic talker. Enough of the talking, enough of the communicating. We've lost lives. And let's not joke about excavators being released. I mean, I think the transport minister totally forgot that we've lost 2 ministers, and to tell us that you are decongesting Tema Harbour. And that's why some excavators have been released.
They've not been
that
released.
is serious.
Yeah.
Well, he says they've been moved. They've been relocated from the harbour.
Dickson.
Well, I mean, listen, excavators on field have been able to get missing. And this process, what are the guarantees? What are the guarantees?
They say it will be under the care of the military.
In the possession of government.
The military.
After reclaiming from individuals doing illegal mining, have vanished, just like I confirm. And you are telling me that you are moving excavators at the harbour, and we should take it lightly. In fact, I'm being difficult today, largely because I think we need to be very serious about the lives that we continue to lose and the future ones that we're losing, especially because of our water, especially because of our gari, our cassava, our food that are now loaded with minerals. Without even these minerals, naturally, Africans are dying from colorectal cancers and all kinds of cancers. Children at Kolebu are dying, So we are increasing our health burden. Even malaria, we've been told by the president that a lot of the funding that was coming for malaria and other diseases are now non-existent. How then do we take on, one, the burden of losses that we were getting from donors, and then in addition, we are burdening our country with cancer.
Okay.
And other issues.
Okay.
And that I'm sure will veer into the Agenda 111 maybe, but let me just carve this in there. I need to say this. I'll plead with Mr. President. 9 months waiting for Health Minister Nawa. Please, let us annex some of these Agenda 111s to Tech, to Kolebu, to Cape Coast, Interbeton, okay, so that the maternity faculty may be running from the unit I have in my constituency, which is Anyaa Sowutuom, because I really think that no bed is unfortunate.
Okay. I mean, the president...
But I just need to chip in something here. Agenda 111, where are they?
What the president mentioned...
No, let's be honest here. You've made a statement as if they are somewhere. You just started a thing, no funding source. And even as I speak, I know that the president has constituted a team that had gone on to actually review the state and what it would take to finish these hospitals.
Yeah, and the president
So you talk as if Agenda 111 hospitals are physical hospitals that you can see. They are only mentioned in books here. And let's move away from this. There's nothing to present. Which one? Even those that were at foundation level, you commissioned them. So you can't just sit there and say there's a...
Well, the president indicated that he put together a committee to review the entire project, and they will be presenting to him a report on it. So
exactly. They don't even exist.
But I think the point Doc was making was that
they are not there.
Yeah, but the point Doc was making was that let's annex them to some of the main hospitals. So, for instance, the one at Antieku, for instance.
I'm asking Ms. Bao, annex what? What?
Complete it and annex it.
So now you are talking. They are not there. So they must be completed.
Some of them were at various
They didn't even have money to complete them. As I said, they were just on paper. Dickson, I don't know why we normally don't do the politics. What happened to you since you travel over there?
No, Prof. They are there.
They are not. You know. You and I know that if we leave this place and I call it, you agree they are not there. But you know.
Anyway, I just want us to hear from the president again so that we can get into some of the issues that he addressed. And this time around, it has to do with a question that Bernard Avile asked the president. And it was issues about concerns about the removal of the EC, also concerns about the removal of the Chief Justice and how, to some extent, that might make him a supreme leader in his legacy term. It was an interesting question he asked him, but the president found it quite humorous. And there are those who said the president probably did not sufficiently respond to the question. The very, what do you call it, crux of the question, the president did not sufficiently address it. He also spoke about the CD and also confirmed that in the early part of this year, Bank of Ghana was making some interventions in the CD, and that was intended to arrest the steep decline of the CD and also some other things that were happening. But at this point, Bank of Ghana have withdrawn from intervening in the CD, and to some extent, that's why we're seeing some depreciation. But he says the true level of the CD will finally be realized. First of all, let's hear Bernard's question to the president, and I'll come to you, Mr. Jantua. I'm sure you have some take on the Galamsey. I'll come to you. You can just land on that one. Then also on this take on the president's response to this question.
I believe that it is about stopping rapid depreciation of the currency. Almost every currency would realize either depreciation or appreciation in the course of a year. But when you have steep depreciation of about, like we had in 2024, 25% depreciation in the currency in the first half of the year, it makes planning difficult. And so, yes, Bank of Ghana has been intervening in the forex market, but they've withdrawn. And what happened was that because of the rapid appreciation in the value of the CD, we saw an exponential increase in imports, because then people could buy cheaper dollars and so they could import more, which is a natural economic phenomenon. But on the other side, exporters are not happy because they get less CDs for what they export. And so every country tries to find out a balance where exporters are able to do good business and importers are not overburdened by high forex rates. Where that lies, I don't know. I'm not a central bank. But the CD is making an adjustment, and I believe that it will settle at a certain rate.
Now, that's the president on the CD situation. But sometime early part of this year, when my colleague George Weafe spoke to the Bank of Ghana governor on whether there were some interventions being made in as far as trying to stabilize the CD was concerned, he was quite emphatic that, well, it is not. Well, let me just bring you that code card. If it's ready and we want to take a look at it, just this is what he had to say about it. I'm sure it's going to be on the screen very shortly, so we can quote him verbatim. Okay, it will be on your screen very shortly. But he was suggesting that that was not happening. So, I mean, it has raised questions as to why the Bank of Ghana suggested so, and now the president is confirming that there were some interventions in the stabilization of the CD. Now, I want us now to hear from the president also on Bernard's question on the supreme leader because of the changes that are happening in some institutions, all right? So if that sound is ready now, the Mahama Supreme Leader comment, we can take that too.
Democracy thrives on checks and balances and separation of powers. Your party has a 2/3 majority in Parliament. The Chief Justice you came to meet has been removed, of course, under your hand, although the process was gone through. There is talk of the EC chair and the leadership, quote, not being fit for purpose by members of your party. Some people fear that These developments and others create a situation where the other arms of government are completely subservient to the executive. In fact, one newspaper expressed the fear that you could be morphing into, quote, a supreme leader, unquote. There is a maxim that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Should we be worried in your legacy term that the democracy you came to meet will be well oiled and that the three arms of government will work not in subservience but in unison?
Bernard said I'm in danger of becoming a supreme leader. Look in my face, do I look like a supreme leader? And that is to paraphrase Prof. Star. At Mills, do I look like a cat hunter? Do I look like a supreme leader? I'm a Democrat true and true. And even when we attained 2/3 of Parliament, I said that we're not going to use it to ride roughshod over the minority, and that we're going to give opportunity for democracy to flourish. And so we don't intend to use our 2/3 majority to steamroll our democracy. We believe that even though the people of Ghana gave us that overwhelming majority, it wasn't meant to turn Ghana into a dictatorship. They gave it to us in order that we could carry out reforms to make our governance better. And I think that we stand a very good chance with that 2/3 majority to finally move the amendments to the Constitution that we have all wanted. In the past, because of hung parliaments and all that, we couldn't make any progress because there are some of those amendments for which you need an overwhelming majority. And so Ghanaians have given us that opportunity and say, look, go ahead and do these things so that we can have a better constitution that will take Ghana for many more generations.
So that's the president there. Even on the point about the constitutional review, we understand that next month the constitutional review will present their report to the president, and hopefully we'll get to see some of the recommendations they've made in that regard. Bring Mr. Jantua on this one. Well, we understand there's a last comment on this one, right? And I think it has to do. Okay, the president also responded to concerns about interference with the implementation of oral, which was raised by the General Secretary, and he had an interesting response to that.
Subservient to the executive.
That is the accusation, that there's interference in terms of the oral investigations. I would have very conveniently said the General Secretary himself is here, and so I'll call him to present his evidence to the public. But I can assure you that there's no way anybody can interfere. I cannot be in people's mind to stop them from attempting to interfere, but I am responsible for making sure that that interference comes to naught. And so I closely monitor. I hold regular meetings with the Attorney General. He briefs me on the status of investigations. And so I'm confident that, the cases will go ahead based on their merits and that nobody would have the opportunity to interfere. If anybody goes lobbying people or paying people to interfere, they probably are just throwing away their resources. All cases will be investigated and come to their logical end. If people are exonerated in the courts, that's what justice is all about. We will do our part, and we're being painstaking in preparing the dockets, and that's why people are complaining that it's a bit slow. But you don't want to hurriedly take a docket to courts and have it thrown out on technicality. And that's why you need to make sure that by the time a docket is prepared and prosecution starts, you have a watertight case that will ensure that you get a conviction. And so that's the process that we're going through. That is the accusation. So
that's the president there, and quite about 3 issues, I believe, that were touched on. And so I'm going to have my guests, choose to touch which of them they want to address. So, Mr. Jansen, I'm not sure which of them you want to touch on. He also spoke about the free SHS. They've spent in excess of 3.6 billion Ghana cedis in free SHS. We understand the double track has now been cancelled. He also spoke about that extensively. So, which any of them you want to touch on?
The first bit that we talked about? Remind me.
I think it was the CD.
No, not
the
this
Electoral
one.
Commission.
No, he didn't talk about the Electoral Commission bit.
No, the CJ.
The CJ, he didn't go there.
Yeah, he didn't go there.
But the first...
Supreme leader.
The Supreme Leader,
Yes.
that thing that led to the Supreme Leader thing.
Yeah.
Look, let me finish off what Prof was talking about. And the president did indicate that we're taking some people to Australia for them to learn how domestic mining is done. Bring the Australians here.
I understand the Australians who have invited us.
Whatever the case is, convince them to come, have a much wider group of people in illegal mining. And let us see them, talk to them, bring them on TV, let them talk, let them teach Ghanaians. The quantum of people you are taking there, when they come back, will they be trainers of trainers? They might not be. But if you invite the Australians here, they would be able to have a much wider group of people to discuss with. And in terms of when I said we should ban it for a little while, ban it, and those who are legal, quickly review and ratify them. Quickly review, ratify them, and police them. By so doing, what do? You bring out the galamseyers, and it makes it easy. Now, to go back to what do you call his question? Avle's question, where he asked the president that being a supreme leader.
That some media outlet says he might be morphing into a supreme leader with the removal of the CJ and with his party members calling for the removal of the EC.
Maybe it's a journalistic way of asking questions. But if you look at the CJ situation, didn't the president go through the law? What ultra-virus act did the president do where the CJ is concerned? What ultra-virus act did he do? He went according to what the Constitution allows him to do in such a situation.
But he's talking also about the tendency of having some of these institutions being subservient to him, the president, because now often the perception is that you've appointed a CJ, and the CJ that you appointed, the perception again, the CJ might be subservient to you, and he talks about the control you have in Parliament, and if you go ahead to change the EC, the influence you may also have at the EC, and all of these institutions working to serve your interests. That might create
a
recipe for chaos.
Is it the president who does that willy-nilly? It's the Constitution. The Constitution. Isn't it the Constitution who allows the president to nominate? Is the Constitution who allows the president to fire? Is the Constitution? It's going according to the Constitution. Isn't it the Constitution that indicates that a certain percentage of executive should come from Parliament? 70%. So if he's acting that, how can he become a supreme leader?
Any citizen competition.
Exactly. Any citizen competition. I mean, he went through the process. There was no arbitrariness in how the president handled the CJ's matter. For me, I think with the CJ, she overdid it. She overdid it.
Well, this is our final round. We understand that we'll have to wrap up. So, interesting. So, you believe that, well, the president said is...
Look, generally, let me end by this. Generally, that media encounter that we had yesterday was good. Was good. And for me, let me, for once, commend the journalists and the questions they asked. When you compare the questions they asked when President Nana had his, and the questions they've asked here, you can see there's quality in this one than that one.
It's a reset.
There's quality in this one than that one. And I hope it continues.
Okay. Prof, let me bring you final comments.
Yes.
And Doc, I'll come to you also for your final comments.
I'm just going to probably bring the silver lining to this one because a lawyer has done justice to what I wanted to say. But largely, the president, I can't say, was exceptional. He was extremely exceptional yesterday in his responses, particularly economically. And this is one thing that excites me about the president, that you have a president who understands how to even manage the economy. The good thing is that the economy in the second quarter grew by 6.3%. And if you tie that into the CD issue that the president talked about, that every time we want business actors to be able to say that the CD will be within this range, X and why, so that if they are planning, they can plan. It's not necessarily a good thing to have an extremely strong currency or an extremely weak currency. The idea is predictability, and that is where we are moving towards. And like I said in this network before the CD started gaining, I'm going to say that what we are currently witnessing, as far as the other indicators are concerned, does not suggest that the CD is going to slide the way we saw it in the last 2-3 years. I expect that the pressure would come in there, but with economic growth, with inflation declining, and you see, of course, our reserves also improving, there is nothing to suggest that the government, and for that matter, the economy, is not in the strong position to be able to beat off any pressure on the city. So my advice is that anyone responding to this momentary readjustment of the city and trying to speculate is joking with their money. They are going to lose it seriously. And I can put my integrity as an economist on this, that the city would rebound. People talk about government, Bank of Ghana intervention. What are reserves for? Yeah, I saw somebody talking plenty that why is the central bank sometimes, are the reserves not for stabilizing the economy?
But they said, I mean, when
reserves,
when it was
it's not the picture we look at. You just need to know how to use it. You just need to know how to use it.
Policies.
Over the last 8 years, there has never been a point in time that the government was able to actually leverage the reserves to stabilize the city. It's because we are doing the right things. That is why we are able to regulate the supply, and then the city responds. That means that the economy is properly aligned, and we can target the fundamentals with fiscal policy.
They call that an artificial approach.
It's not artificial. It is not artificial. Anytime the former finance minister got his loans and other things and the Kinke, the next day did the city move? The city never moved. This is now a time when the central bank can say, I want to allow the city to move in a certain direction so that we can be able to what? Strengthen the position of our exports and also that of the domestic economy. And the city is responding. I'm telling any Ghanaian listening to me today that this is the economy we always wanted, one that we are in control of, not one that was on autopilot. And I want to commend every actor within government and in the economic space for this brilliant job.
All right, let me bring Doc. Doc, you can have the final take.
Yes, I wanted to say that when it comes to monetary policy, even abstaining from the market or inactivity is also an intervention. So I just wanted to bring that up, that as for the central bank, he has nothing to do than to accept what John Dramani Mahama has said. Whether there was inactivity or not, it is all part of the measures that can be taken by a central bank. However, let me add to their knowledge that activities of the many governmental agencies that were brought to a halt, that are now seeming to start some work, is also part of the reason why there's readjustment. In the past 6 months, government was literally at a standstill. Now that the MMDCs, a few payments and things have to go, reality is setting in. So as it stands, the economy is not just Forex. The economy, rightly said, is what's in our pocket, our disposable income. And that is where government needs to be more serious about. And we are not ready to pay any additional utilities. The gold market, the mining industry should foot that bill.
Interesting. Well, let me just read some comments and then we can call it a day on the Newsflash segment, discussion segment. We're going to have it very shortly on the screen. Some of you have sent your messages. And, okay, let's see. A few ones here. Master Planner. Let me start from Master Planner. I might not be able to read all of them. He said, Lawyer Jantua always trying to play politics with every issue by indulging political equalization, even if he doesn't favor the government. Why is he dragging the previous government into the issue of the traders? He's now part of the government. He should be tackling issues. Okay. He said the Ghanaian trader always seeks to extort its customers with higher profiteering prices as compared to the Nigerian trader who will accept a small profit on their goods. If we make a mistake to sack the Nigerian traders, the Ghanaian traders will take advantage to break our necks, he says. Okay. Let's see whether we can get some more comments.
Did I not say
that? Yes, you made that point. So he seems to be agreeing with you. Musa Batwa says, President Mahama has once again demonstrated true leadership. The fact that he organized a media encounter by himself shows his commitment to transparency and accountability, something Akufo-Addo and Bawumia failed to do. No, they didn't fail to do throughout the 8 years. They did engage the media.
They stage managed.
They did engage the media. His categorical assurance that he will not act as a supreme leader, but rather allow the law to work. His firm stance against hate speech and harmful online activities with a pledge to track down and prosecute offenders is exactly the kind of responsible leadership Ghana needs at this crucial time, he says. Gary from Tamale says, may I know from President Mahama, the NDC party, whether Ghanaians were deceived to believe that the only solution to fighting Galamsey in Ghana was to impose a state of emergency, and what has changed? Ghanaians have been scammed by Mahama and NDC, he says. Okay. Someone says, why should I buy an expensive item for my fellow Ghanaian when it is cheaper from a Nigerian trader? The fact is, the Ghanaian wants more money at once. Some of these traders in Ghana are lazy, he says. They should learn how these Nigerians do business so they can compete very well with them.
Empty business, that's it.
Okay, let me see this one. Okay, let me just take this one. It says, Mr. Host, please remind Uncle Janto that President Mahama didn't resolve the Doomsaw issue before leaving office in 2017. We still experienced power outages in March that year. Furthermore, Mahama hasn't taken any significant action against Galamsey. Given NDC's alleged involvement in illegal mining, it is unlikely he can effectively tackle the issue. Declaring a state of emergency isn't the solution either. To genuinely address Galamsey, the government should consider the following: strengthen the law enforcement and inter-agency collaboration, implement sustainable livelihood alternatives for miners, and so on and so forth. It says, okay, the same question. Maybe let me take one more. I sometimes wonder if the communicators have two tongues, he said. They said A in opposition and are practicing B in power. On Galamsey, they made us know they could deal with it in 2 weeks and even called on the previous administration to declare a state of emergency. When did Prof. Ayamga realize it's not a partisan issue? And he says...
He's saying shame on me. It's okay.
He said, greetings to all, Prof. Ayanga and Jantua, who have endeared themselves to the good people of Ghana for their love for the nation. Indeed, they are in great inspiration. So... just send in.
I think you should stop
regards. There. Okay. Well,
let's hear the bombardment. Let's hear the bombardments. It's good to hear the bombardment.
I think that's all the messages we have now. Okay, so that's all we have for you in the News Flash segment today. We're going to be back, God willing, tomorrow, and we'll see what we can get to talk about.